4-8-NA, the matter of the Little minors, and this is the date and time set for a review hearing in this matter. I would note that Mr. Little is here, and his attorney is present as well, Mr. Good. Ms. Kolziski, I don't see, but her attorney, Mr. Janice, is here. Mr. Salasina is here on behalf of the state, and Ms. Barco for the children. I would note that we also have the relative placement foster parents here. Mr. Salasina, how do you want to proceed today?
If I could, Your Honor, I'd like to take some testimony from Kathy Epaulet.
All right. Ma'am, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm any testimony given this cause and be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
Yes.
All right.
Ms. Epaulet, could you please identify yourself for the court record, spelling your first and last name?
Kathy, K-A-T-H-Y, Epaulet, E-P-P-L-E-T-T.
And who's your employer?
Catholic Charities, West Michigan.
And what do you do for them?
I'm a foster care supervisor.
How are you involved in the case of Carter Little and Candace Little?
I am currently assigned as the caseworker.
And during the past reporting period, have there been any physical or mental health concerns for Carter Little?
Nothing new.
Okay. During the past reporting period, have there been any educational concerns for Carter Little?
Nothing new.
During the past reporting period, have there been any services offered to Carter Little?
Yes.
What are those services?
We're working as much as we can with the the Eagle Village recommendations for services. And there was just a recent therapist change.
Okay. So what services is Carter receiving?
He is in, Carter has services through Health West that were not consistent. He wasn't consistently involved during the shutdown due to COVID. Services were sought elsewhere, and those are now in place.
Okay. And where is Carter currently placed?
With his maternal grandmother and step-grandfather.
And are there any concerns with that current placement?
No.
Is Candace also placed at that placement?
Cadence, yes.
Excuse me. Yes. And at this point in time, is Carter receiving any extracurricular activity or enrichment activities that would meet the reasonably prudent parenting standard?
I believe so. I believe that the caregivers are working with him on a lot of different things outside of his services.
Okay. What would be examples of those things?
I think the main example is a Mightier program that they're working on with him to help him regulate his own behaviors outside of therapy.
Okay. Switching gears to Cadence a little, during the past reporting period, has she had any physical or mental health concerns?
He has nothing new.
And has he had any educational concerns?
No.
And has he received any services from Catholic Charities West Michigan?
Yeah, there have been referrals made for Cadence in line with the Eagle Village assessment. Those came through the primary care providers specifically. His services through Health West were discharged. He is receiving services along with the family from Catholic Charities behavioral specialist in the home, specifically working with foster parents.
And during the past reporting period, has Cadence been receiving any service enrichment activities or extracurricular activities that would meet the reasonably prudent parenting standard?
Yes, it would be the same as Carter, specifically that Mightier program.
Okay. And have you had any contact with Cody Kolziski during the past reporting period?
I have not.
To your knowledge, has she participated in any services offered by Catholic Charities West Michigan or any other services?
Not to my knowledge.
Has she followed the recommendations contained within the Parent Agency Treatment Plan?
No.
What efforts have you made to locate Ms. Kolziski?
I mail letters monthly and call once every other week.
Okay. At this time, would it be safe to return the children to Ms. Kolzinski's care?
No.
Why not?
Her lack of participation in the treatment plan, her lack of contact with agency staff, and her lack of contact with the children even prior to this case.
Okay. What is the permanency planning goal for the children at this time?
Reunification,
Do you believe that continues to be an appropriate permanency planning goal?
I do.
Okay. Why is that?
The children are attached to their father. Mr. Little has made significant progress this report period, and I think it remains an appropriate goal.
Have you had contact with Mr. Little during the past reporting period?
I have.
Has he complied with and benefited from the services offered in the parent agency treatment plan?
He has.
What are some of those services?
Substance abuse counseling, parenting classes outside of the treatment plan that he completed, specifically trauma-informed parenting. He participated in a home assessment with me, the psychological assessment, and then the referral along with that. He's seeking services through his existing CMH provider for.
Okay. And is Mr. Little participating in parenting times?
He is.
How are those going?
From everything I've heard, they're going well. I know there were some hiccups in the last reporting period, but there haven't been any this reporting period. We've gone back to face-to-face contact, and the relatives are supervising those and indicate that they're all going well, and that Mr. Little and Mrs. Brent are appropriate during those visits.
What barriers currently exist to reunifying Mr. Little with his children?
I think the biggest barrier in this case right now is addressing the children's needs and making sure that Mr. Little is able to do that. Have the boys a little bit more set in their services so that parents can be involved in the services and know how to help the boys.
Had parenting skills and substance abuse previously been barriers to reunification with Mr. Little?
Yes.
Do they continue to be barriers at this time?
No. We are waiting for results of Mr. Little saw a hair follicle test on his own, and we're waiting for the results of those.
Okay. Have you had any recently completed drug tests for Mr. Little?
Mr. Little did complete a drug screen through, I believe it was probation, and I have not received the results of those yet, although it's my understanding that Mr. Little has been in contact with his probation officer, and there was not a concern with that screen.
Okay. And at this point, what recommendations do you have for the court?
Our recommendations would be that Carter and Cadence remain temporary court wards with the permanency goal of reunification, that they remain in their current relative care placement, that Mr. Little and Miss Burnt participate in and benefit from the parent agency treatment plan, that Ms. Kolzinski participate in and benefit from the treatment plan, that parenting time for Mr. Little and Mrs. Burnt remain supervised with agency discretion for unsupervised visits, including overnights, that parenting time for Ms. Kolzinski remains suspended pending her participation in the treatment plan, and that this matter be reviewed in 90 days.
Okay. What reasonable efforts has Catholic Charities of West Michigan made toward the permanency planning goal of reunification?
There's been case management and placement services, insight parenting classes, medical and dental services, trauma-informed parenting program referral and service, modified parenting time during COVID, home visits and verification of well-being, family team meetings, parent contact, psychological assessment referral and service, a biological parent home assessment, CMH referral and services, and a trauma assessment referral service and review.
Have you had any contact with Carter and Cadence during the past reporting period?
Yes.
Have you had physical contact with the children?
I have not. My first physical contact with them will be this month.
Okay. How have you had contact with the children otherwise?
Video conferencing.
Okay. And based on your prior testimony, you believe that their current placement is appropriate?
I do.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Epaulette. I have no further questions.
Mr. Janice, do you have any questions?
I have no question. For the record, I'd indicate that throughout this case, I've had no contact with my client. In fact, I have never met my client because she's never appeared in any of the scheduled hearings.
All right, Ms. Barco, any questions?
No.
Mr. Good, any questions?
Ma'am, you spoke to my client's improvement or benefit from services. I think you used the word significant. Can you elaborate on that for me, please?
Ryan has done everything that I've asked him to do, everything that's in the parent agency treatment plan, and more than that. He's been willing to do services that aren't included in the treatment plan. He has reached out to me when he's completed services. He has provided me with all the paperwork that he's gotten from his service providers. He has been more than willing to make whatever changes are necessary to his interactions with me, with the caregivers, with the children. Just reading the Eagle Village report, their assessment of the parenting time that they witnessed between Ryan and the boys is significant. Even from his initial parenting time visits with the children, he's able to modify his tone when he's spending time with Carter versus Cadence. He's able to modify his parenting to meet his child's needs. They're twins, but they couldn't be more different. And Ryan's able to modify how he parents each one of those kiddos.
Okay. Is one of the services my client undertook on his own a hair follicle drug test?
Yeah, that was nothing that we had asked to do. He, out of his own pocket, he paid for that.
Do you have the results?
I don't. It's my understanding that he had those submitted directly to the court, so I wouldn't get a copy of that unless it was provided to me by the court.
Okay.
He also participated.
Go ahead.
He participated in our trauma-informed parenting program, and I've had contact with it's through our agency, so I've had contact with the staff member that conducted that webinar, and she was impressed with Ryan's involvement. He didn't just sit there and watch the webinar, he participated in it.
Okay. So the thought is then to move the unsupervised parenting time during this reporting period, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, ma'am, so currently Mr. Little's parenting time is supervised?
Right.
All right, but you're not opposed to unsupervised?
Correct.
Would that include like overnights and things like that?
Yes, it would be a slow progression, but yes, we would like that included in there.
All right, and you said he's on probation?
My understanding is he's set to be discharged from probation on the 17th of July.
All right. And would there be a substantial risk of harm to the children to return them today?
I believe so. Given we're just getting started and being able to involve Carter and Cadence in some services since COVID guidelines are allowing us now to participate more in services and at least get appointments scheduled.
Okay, so since all of the services that you felt were necessary haven't been able to be implemented, you believe there would still be a risk?
Yes.
All right. Do you have an address for Ms. Kolziski?
Not in front of me, but yes, we do have an address. I have the address. Did you want me to read it on the record?
Sure.
It's 1405 Shadow Ridge Drive, Wayland, Michigan, 49348.
All right, thank you. Let's see. All right, anything else for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Salasina, anything else?
I have nothing further.
Mr. Janice, anything else?
Nothing.
Mr. Good, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Barco, do you have a report on the children?
I haven't seen the children in person since the schools closed. I've been in contact with Mr. Chester, the relative caregiver. I reached out to him after Miss Epaulet asked me about unsupervised parenting time. He reported he did not have concerns about moving forward with unsupervised parenting time. I also asked him if he had any other questions or concerns. At this time, he didn't. During the last reporting period, like Miss Epaulet testified to, there were some bumps, but it seems like things are going or have gone better in this reporting period.
All right. Very good. And I would note, just for the record, that there is a drug test in the file. It looks like it was filed on June 18th, 2020. And it shows Mr. Ryan Michael Little, the date of collection of 6/11 of 20, date received 6/12 of 20, date reported 6/12 of 20. It shows hair follicle that he had a negative result for amphetamine, methamphetamines, cocaine, cocaine metabolites, opiates, extended opiates, benzcyclidine, whatever that is, and THC. So he was negative for all of those. Other than that, I'll accept the report and recommendations. The children would remain wards of the court, referred to the Department for Care Placement and Supervision. The permanency planning goal is reunification. That appears to be appropriate. Mr. Little and I guess Ms. Kolziski would be directed to comply with and benefit from the elements of the parent agency treatment plan. The department is providing services that would, or actually Catholic Charities is providing services that would satisfy the reasonable prudent parenting standard. There would be a substantial risk of harm to return the children today, but it's really just because all the services that were going to be recommended couldn't be implemented during the shutdown. But I would have to think that we're pretty close here and that by the next reporting period, I might be hard pressed to make that finding if things continue to go in a positive direction. Parenting time would continue and be transitioned to unsupervised for Mr. Little, and parenting time for Ms. Kolziski would be suspended at this time. Anything else to address?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, we should be all set. Council, can you all stay on here, and everybody else is free to go?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Minutes.
So I just wanted to double check. We're still on for Tuesday, right? For